to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
Okay, welcome back. This is episode number 35 of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. Back as always is myself, Tron, better known as that on the Warzone, and at my side is the 10InchCowboy, also better known as the 10InchCowboy in the Warzone. How has it been for you this week? Getting it sweaty, getting it spicy.
Ooh, hello everybody. It's been good. I have been making some interesting changes based off of some of your recommendations, actually, in regards to controller setup, how I'm playing, where are my fingers going, what am I touching to make things happen. So I've been playing with that. Took a big step in like my journey to get to the ultimate playing ability to have the jump. I don't know how to explain this, but jump on the left bumper, and then on the right bumper, I believe would be, what's on the right bumper then once I get to this crowning point? What is it?
Same lethal grenade, not going to change there.
That's right. So just one change, a couple other changes. Well, so I've been working on that, trying to get in the zone there. It's made my gameplay insanely frustrating at times because I can't fucking lay down or crouch. I don't remember. I got to push in the R3 thing. But other than that, things are going good. How was your week in the Warzone?
Well, let's just back it up there. Let's provide some context because I'm sure our listeners, or some of them, are thoroughly lost already. So, yes, the Cowboy was playing on the standard controller configuration leading up to this week, and then he boldly went where many have gone before him, namely myself, and took the plunge and switched to tactical controller layout, which effectively moves your melee from your right stick. It swaps your melee with your crouch. So as he said, he's now able to crouch without taking his thumb off the stick. But as I saw playing with him, it really caused you quite a few problems starting off. Do you want to kind of take us through this journey so far?
Well, yeah. So I'm trying to get to, as you pointed out, the tactical. What is the term of tactical? What?
So he's trying to eventually get to, yes, bumper jumper tactical, which we discussed last week.
Yeah, so I'm trying to make my way down that. Yeah, and my main issue is that I like to crouch and lay down. I'm constantly moving my elevation as a player, you know? Where is my head? Is it high? Is it low? I don't know. You can't hit me. I'm constantly trying to move like that. And it just takes time to get used to that. And what's happening now is that when I get into something and I need to hide, or if I'm like, if I'm trying to, it's just like everything is so much more difficult. I've been getting just shredded because instead of like ducking behind something when somebody's shooting, I'm like, that split second where I have to think about where the fuck do I push to crouch, I'm getting destroyed. It's causing me a lot of frustration. So in a transitionary period right now.
Yeah, but it will get better. I can assure you, from speaking from experience, it is quite a change, but I feel like nobody regrets making that change. I don't know anyone who's made that and then reverted back. But the question I'm having is, are you able to slide cancel at least at this point with this new configuration?
Yeah, I was able to slide cancel before this. That wasn't the issue, but yes, I have made the progress in this setup. I'm slide canceling. It's getting better. You know, it's really one of those things, every round it's getting better, but I just made the change a few days ago. It's still obviously messing with my head. I know it's going to be worth it. It's just like the journey is sometimes what it's all about, and I'm living it right now.
That's right. Sometimes the destination is the journey in many ways. For us, it's a never-ending, saga for us amateurs to try and tweak our setups, get a little bit sweatier so that we can have a better chance to combat these crazy bastards playing with their high sensitivities, keyboard and mouse, all of that. Speaking of which, we touched on last week extensively the bumper jumper tactical. Now, one thing a listener reached out to us this week and noted after hearing us discuss it, he recommended switching. It's called Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped, which I had to look it up because I didn't quite understand what it meant. But what it is instead of having your right trigger pull the trigger on the gun, it makes it your right bumper. And in theory, the theory is like you can just click that button and it's a shoot, as opposed to having to pull down the trigger. Now that seems like pretty microscopic, type of change, but their theory is like, hey, it's going to save you even more time, even more fractions of a second. That shit adds up over time. I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that, but have you even thought about that?
I haven't even thought about that, but I do think that anything that saves you any amount of time, you have so many interactions, so many gunfights that are decided by, the hair on my inner thigh, just such a thin margin. And I would imagine that this does, in the long run, probably win you quite a few gunfights. So I'm not opposed to it, but no, I haven't even considered that.
Yeah, it was Reginald Johnson, I guess is him, on Twitter, had tweeted about it, and other people had replied echoing that. May look into it at some point, but at this point now in my journey, I'm just now kind of locked into this new bumper jumper tactical. I'm jumping a bit more, even in like some gunfights. I've won a few handfuls. It's helping me out.
Are you jumping and bumping?
Jumping and bumping, baby. Keeping both thumbs on the stick, sliding, jumping. I also have heard the pros, when they do their slide cancel, previously I had been doing crouch, hitting the button 3 times. That's the way I slide cancel, is like a 1-1-2 kind of rhythm. But I've heard the pros say actually what you want to do is 2 crouches and a jump to do the fastest type of like slide canceling. So I might start exploring with that. It's kind of wild. You can play this game for so long and there's still fucking changes you can be making to things you do hundreds of times a game.
Yeah. It's you just get so in your own world. It's like anything. Like, you just find a routine in which you play. Like, it's really difficult to break the mold, as I'm now trying to get this bump and jump tactical layout. Like, it's hard to break what you've trained yourself to do essentially for so many hours. It's really hard to change.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know anything about science and stuff, but I feel like that's, anatomy shit. Like, your circuitry and your brain's wired a certain way and you're changing those pathways, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a big scientist guy and I know a lot about science, and I think that it's a big deal.
Okay.
Big time. I could talk about it, but I don't want to confuse you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm sure that's true. So, speaking of, breaking away from the mold, trying new stuff, your boy Tron is a bit of a creature of habit, a bit of a curmudgeon, a bit of a piece of shit, as we all know.
Yes.
And the Cowboy had made me aware way back, I think, when Rebirth was like new to Warzone. He said, hey, there's like an Easter egg you can do on Rebirth. And I was like, what? What's an Easter? Never mind. No, I knew what it was. So then I looked it up and I saw the steps required. I don't know if any of you are out there. There's a bunker in the headquarters building that's locked and it has a keypad. Well, there's a way to get the code, get in there. It's by doing this Easter egg. And if you look into it, on the surface, it looks fucking insane. So I've been very resistant to this, but, came back around recently. Another buddy of ours, friend of the podcast, we mentioned, Sparks, was really gung-ho on giving this a try. Cowboy was always like, I've always wanted to do this. So finally, they convinced Tron to go along with it this week. Do you want to share how that went for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm glad that you set this up that way, because you're right. You explained it well. I have been wanting to do this for a long time. You have been resisting the idea for so long, but we got to do it for the pod. We got to be trying these things for the pod, basically, was what it came down to. And another thing that it came down to was, I think you expected to unlock this Easter egg to be much more difficult than it actually ended up being. I think in your mind, you were thinking this was going to be like a multiple sessions, achievement. Like, we weren't just going to be able to do it in our first time trying kind of thing. And not that we did it on our first attempt, but it really didn't take that many. We actually did it within at least, it was 2 or 3 or 4 attempts, Rebirth games, and we got it once we were like, okay, let's try this, right?
I think, yeah, it was actually like our second or I think at the latest, our third.
I think it was our second game. Yeah. It was not very long. We did not need very much time. Do you want to go through step by step how you do it, what it is, and what you ultimately end up getting?
Yeah, let's just summarize it for those of you out there who aren't familiar. So there's multiple steps to this. The first step is you have to locate this briefcase that spawns in one of 10 locations on the map. And you can go online, go on YouTube, find images of where these potential spawn points are. So you got a 1 in 10 chance. You got to find this thing before you do anything. Which
is interesting because, not to interrupt you, but, we've played so much Rebirth over the last, what has it been, like 8 months since it came out, whatever. We've played a lot of Rebirth, and you think you know this island pretty well. Like, I've been in a lot of nooks and crannies on this island, but this like briefcase I'd never seen before, and I've been in the locations where it spawns, one of the 10 locations, a million times. I'd never seen this briefcase. It seemed so bizarre to me that it was just like randomly spawning places, and I've never seen it before. But it in fact does spawn every single game, right?
Yeah, it's out there, and it is funny you say that because I'm sure we've like came across it and just didn't notice it, thought it was part of the map. So the secret though, or a pro tip we learned is with around 2 or 1 seconds left in the pregame, that will spawn on the map. So if you kind of do some you know recon, so to speak, during the pregame lobby and have your team split up, hang out in the general areas, you can't obviously cover all 10 locations, but some of them are near each other. And with that 1 second, if you get lucky, you'll see it pop up, and then you'll know when the match starts where you need to go. So step 1 is finding that briefcase.
Yeah.
Then, once you find the fucking briefcase, there's going to be 3 photographs scattered on the ground. Now, next pro tip is some of the photographs are upside down, sideways. So it took me, I was like at the first one, I think that first go, I found the briefcase, and I'm trying to report back to the team what the photographs are. I'm having a hard fucking time figuring that out. So step 2 is there's like a list of 26 potential photographs that can spawn there. You're going to get 3 of those. Each of those photographs corresponds to a different location on the map.
So basically how this is, if you're actually going to try this, basically, so you start out looking for this briefcase, right? You get your 3 or 4 people in Rebirth, in the 3 or 4 locations at that 1 second marker, and see if it spawns there. Then boom, all of a sudden, if it's in one of those, you know exactly where to go when the match starts. If you don't see it, you got to go check the other 6 spots if you have 4 guys checking the areas in the pregame. So then once you actually locate the briefcase, this is where it actually gets incredibly difficult and tricky. As Tron explained, it has these 3 photographs that correspond to 26 different places on the map. Some of them are easier to guess right off the bat than others, but we have to recommend, if you're going to do this, to get the photograph. It's like a cheat sheet essentially, right, Tron?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to find the cheat sheet. So it'll be 1 through 26. You'll look at the photo. You'll know exactly where it is. You'll be like, okay, we need to go to, headquarters. We need to go to the lockers in prison. And then once then I'll let you keep going. But, I just wanted to drop that little tip.
Yeah, and like the cowboy so eloquently said, some of them are easy to discern. Okay, these are a set of bunk beds. I know what photograph that is. Others is there's a box with a fucking rag on it, and you're like, wait, is that this one or that one? One of them is the gondola, so it's literally moving. Anyways, though, you call that out to your team. You're like, okay, the number of the photographs we got are location 11, 5, and 24. And then at that point, everyone splits up, tries to get to those locations. And this is where it gets really fucking hairy, all right? You think the hard part's over, but no. Then you got to go to each of those locations, and then there's going to be a set of numbers hidden somewhere. Sometimes crazy hidden. You mentioned the lockers in the prison. I think that is the single hardest one because the numbers are literally inside of these closed lockers. You have to peer in there. It's really dark. You got to make it out. So you're going to end up with 3 different sets of numbers. That ends up being the combination to the safe. The way you can determine what order the numbers are is they'll have dashes on them. But yeah, take us through it from there, how it went for us.
Well, I think the other big part of this to realize is you're also in the middle of a Rebirth game. So when you're like, let's go to, this is in Nova 6. Let's go to Nova 6. It's one guy's okay, I'll check Nova. Somebody else go check security. And then you go to Nova 6. If there's a quad there holding that building down, it's not as simple as just going and finding the numbers. You're getting fucked on, you're getting destroyed. And we got lucky in our accomplishment of this because I think we had one run in with one team, but then they quickly moved out of this random little building where one of these number sets were. So we were lucky enough to get it, but it is that's the hardest part is actually okay, once you establish everything and you know the information you need to get, essentially, where are the numbers, then you have to go find them, and it's really hard. It is really, really hard.
Yeah, so you're working against other teams. You got a bloodbath going on, and you're in the middle of a fucking war zone. Additionally, you kind of got to get some luck with the circles, because if the circle swallows an area where you need to go, you ain't getting it that round. You're going to have to start over. So yeah, fortunately for us, we're able to get the numbers. We call him out to Cowboy. He's going to headquarters. He's punching it in. We tried the first time. We had the numbers in the wrong order. Fortunately, I had written them down. I had thought it was a different order. I read my version out. He goes, that's it. The fucking, what was that feeling like, that successfully punching in these codes?
Well, yeah. So I punched it in wrong at first. And my first instinct was like, fuck, we just spent like several games trying to do this and we're not going to get it. And your anticipation starts to build once you think you have the numbers. Like, holy shit, we're going to get it. And then it didn't work. I was devastated for a moment, but then I think you were like, well, just switch the numbers around. So I switched them around. We ended up opening up. It felt good. What really felt good, maybe, do you want to walk us through what actually the big achievement is once you get inside the bunker?
So yeah, I mean, let's get to the payoff here, which I guess, I don't know how you feel about it, but yeah, the big payoff is you go into this cool ass bunker underneath the ground, and the main thing you get is this blueprint for a Milano. Yeah,
I mean, it was sillier back in the day when the Milano wasn't a viable SMG. It's kind of cool now that, it's a good SMG. Like the Milano's no joke. Like you can roll with the Milano. So it's a cool, skin to have. I mean, it's not like you're unlocking, the MG82 at its prime. It's not quite that, dominant. But there's also, there's like 3 or 4 red boxes in there. You also, okay, well, if we're talking about like shorter term perks, you get the red boxes. There's also Foresight, which is a great, thing to have on Rebirth Island. So, and a whole nother concept of all of this, just to throw this in to make it even more difficult pulling this off. I think we actually got pretty lucky doing it on our second time. But the gas is obviously closing on Rebirth Island. So if you don't get to the right spots in the right amount of time, your whole journey's over. So like, if one of the numbers or one of the pictures is in like security and the end of the circle is over at bio, you're fucked. Like you're not going to get that. You know what I'm saying?
I literally just said that previously, but yes, I'm glad we're reiterating that.
Did you?
Additionally, you got to get some luck with the circles, because if the circle swallows an area where you need to go, you ain't getting it that round. You're going to have to start over.
Dude, what is going on with me? Like it's been a long weekend.
He just doesn't care what Tron has to say, but that's okay. I wouldn't either if I was in his shoes. But yeah, as he pointed out, the biggest, perk or whatever, the biggest spoils, the riches go the victor you get there is you get Foresight, so you can see every single circle location to go. They give you some legendary weapons, but I think 2 of them were like snipers. One I got was like a 3-round burst gun. You don't even get enough fucking money to buy a loadout, which was kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah, that is a little silly. They should give you the 7,500 needed in those chests to get a loadout.
Because at this point, you emerge from this bunker, you got your full plates, we all had satchels, we know where the circle's going, but we didn't have good weapons. We're kind of, you put aside your looting time was already spent during the fucking search for this code. At this point, you're emerging from this bunker in the end game, and it's like you got your pants around your ankle. You're kind of stumbling out of the bunker here, not sure where to. I mean, you know where to go, but you're like, what the fuck are we gonna do? So we didn't end up winning that match, even though we knew we had to get to Control Center. That was gonna be the building to hold. We tried it valiantly, but we did do the Easter egg, and like you said, we did it for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it. And when I'm running the Milano, that skin's going to be on there. It's like a red skin. It's not even that exciting. It's not even that cool, to be honest. But it's more about just doing it. It's the journey, baby.
I agree. It was fun, and it was really exciting. And as you said, a lot easier. I thought it was going to be a little crazier because, maybe we got lucky. Maybe we could never do it again if we tried. But I like these Easter eggs. I like that this one wasn't crazy overpowered. I wish they had more because it makes the game spicier, but I think the rewards need to be a little more lucrative. Like they should just give you a loadout drop like canister in there or something,
100%. Yeah, I mean, this is like, you talk about like red doors in Verdansk and these little things where you can find bunkers there and all of that. You find the red key card and then you can open it up. This is like 30 times harder than any red key card find in getting to a bunker on Verdansk. You know what I mean? Like, and the loot in there is tenfold of this.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison. Yeah, the reward didn't really match the effort, but we can do it. We said we did it. We haven't really done many Verdansk Easter eggs because we're not really on Verdansk, especially these days. I don't even know which ones still exist.
Yeah, I don't know too many of the Verdansk Easter eggs. Maybe we should do them. I like doing Easter eggs. It's fun. It's better than getting killed all the time.
I agree, and you die for a purpose at least. But that said, that was really our journey this week in terms of gameplay. The other news was a patch went live on July 21st, and the biggest thing, which I love to see, is it had been brought to my attention after we recorded last week's podcast that there was a broken issue with this C58 AR, which was the meta, before these nerfs, it was like the unquestioned meta AR. Apparently now it's still very good, but what had happened is the 4X optic on it was bugged. And so what happened, if you were running the 4X scope on the C58, it basically gave it 0 recoil. You can go look at the comparisons of the patterns, which is weird. So everyone and their mother, I guess, other than, the amateurs out here like me, because I didn't know about it, that's all they were running. They were destroying people, so they patched that. The optics now all have the same recoil essentially across the board for the C58. I've heard it's still viable, but it's obviously no longer broken. And the other thing they fixed was the infinite dead silence glitch, but they haven't brought back the ability to edit your loadouts in the pregame.
Interesting. Well, it's like that. I feel like we talked about this last week. It's the same. It's like they introduce these great things, and then the glitch fucks it all up, and now they won't bring it back because of the fear of them breaking the game again. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think we'll ever see it again. I'm just going to say that right now. I don't think that they're ever going to bring back loading or edit loadout in pregame. Not going to happen.
So you think it's kind of going to go the way of the gunner helicopters?
The gunner helicopters, yes. I think that's exactly what's happening here. It's how long has it been since they fixed the bug? It's been a couple of weeks, right?
Since this new infinite dead silence thing?
Yeah.
That was this past week, but yeah, still no ability to edit loadouts. We'll see. It doesn't sound like there's any plans to bring that back, like you said. What's funny about the gunner helicopter is I feel like they've used that, though, in a few like promotional cutscenes since then, but that thing ain't fucking coming back.
No, it's over. I don't understand the programming and how they figure all this out, and like where the bug is actually, created, and some of the it just doesn't make any sense to me. But it seems they have the tendency to just walk away from it as opposed to fixing. They just walk away from the new cool thing. They just walk away and say, oh well, we probably don't want to fix that. Let's just get out of here.
Yeah, that room's infested with rats. Should we get an exterminator, come to the root cause, figure it out? No, let's just shut the fucking door. No one's allowed in that room anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But, fear not. In case anybody out there was worried about bugs, there's another bug, I guess, ongoing as of time of this recording, still in the game. We're not proponents of exploiting the game, but at the same time, like, if other people are getting an advantage out there, we're going to try and help the fucking amateurs out so they know what's going on. So JGod recently tweeted out that the QBZ, which we had talked about last week, it's now pretty viable. It's not as good as I thought it was. I've kind of cooled off it. However, he pointed out that if you are running it, there's a bug with the magazines. So similar to how the FFAR was for a little bit there, if you run the Salvo 60 round fast mag, in theory, that's supposed to really hurt your ADS. You're supposed to get an ADS penalty for having a faster reload, but it's actually the opposite. It gives you faster ADS than if you're running the standard 60 round. So you get a faster reload and a faster ADS. So if you're running the QBZ, make sure you're running the 60 round fast mag.
Interesting. JGod comes up with these statistics that are just like mind-blowing. How the fuck does he find this out? Like, how does he know this stuff? I mean, I'm assuming he's testing this constantly. Like, he's doing the groundwork on this, right? But how is he timing reload time to like the 10,000th of a second? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Amazing question. I mean, yeah, we got to give credit to these guys out there, the JGods, the True Game Datas, the Exclusive Ace. I know there's some others out there. But let's start with how does he actually test them? So that was kind of what I was wondering, but I found through watching several of his videos, it seems like really what he does is he goes into a game, he performs tests in real time, but the way he measures the results is he then puts that footage into a video editor, and he can use, frames to correlate timings. So if he can check the ADS by, okay, it starts on this frame, it does this, convert that into a, one frame equals 1/24th of a second, do that after time. I'm sure he's got the formulas and all that all figured out. So that's kind of how they do that. But other things like hip fire distance and mobility, I'm not exactly sure how they measure that, but it seems like they're all kind of in agreement with each other.
But he's doing these things for every weapon. Like, how is he like, there's so many weapons with so many different attachments. That seems like a job that would literally never end. It's like almost infinite, the amount of weapons with all the different attachments and all the different combinations. You see what I'm getting at here? It's like, how does he do this? It's just crazy to me.
Well, I think really they go off of the patch notes. So typically that's when they'll be prompted to do some changes. So yeah, it was probably a nightmare when all these that recent Reloaded update came out and they saw, 75% of weapons were changed. They're going to have to test that.
Yeah.
But they kind of have fortunately with these more thorough patch notes, they kind of have an idea of what they're looking for. Now, when it comes to something like this bug, from what I heard, it sounds like it was his listeners. He also has a Discord out there, and people were tweeting at him, sharing in the Discord, hey, check out the QBZ fast mag, it's bugged. And so he finally looked into that, had the time to test it, confirmed it was bugged. But I don't think this is something where, he's testing every single configuration on a daily basis to make sure nothing's changed. It's more like people bring stuff to his attention, similar to the C58 scope. I think people had kind of made him aware of that. He went, tested it, confirmed it, shared it with the community.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, he's getting intel from his little soldiers on the ground, and then he is then testing that data. He's not, developing all of this himself all the time, because that seems like an impossible task.
Yeah, it's like, the J-God army's out there crowdsourcing some of this stuff. I do know, though, like when True Game Data did the huge round of testing after these changes, he had a custom match with his listeners where he kind of crowdsourced people to help him measure and do stuff. So it's cool the way the community is stepping in. It's kind of ironic that this is all done outside of Activision. Like all this information.
It's crazy, right? How is J-God not just like working for Activision? It doesn't make sense to me. Like they have to have these people in the community, which are like these like interesting independent representatives that are like testing and delivering information on the game. I wonder if J-God has a relationship with Activision and the developers there at Raven. Like, because he now, I feel like, has so much influence on the community with, if people want information about their game, they go to him, not them. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, well, I can hear the tinfoil crinkling a little there, but I will say, I believe, don't quote me because I'm often wrong, but I believe, I know for a fact that people are always tweeting at them like, hey, you guys, Activision should hire you guys, and then you can do the patch notes. But I swear to God, I remember seeing J-God reply like, even if they offered me a job, I wouldn't fucking work for these guys. And I don't know anyone who would, so interesting there. Kind of doing it for the love of the game, but at the same time, not, loving the people making the game. But that's kind of where things are at.
Interesting. He's probably, it's nice to have your own schedule, be your own boss, create your own content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, baby. But next up, and speaking of new additions, with that new patch, or right around the same time, they finally released this new game mode that they had teased way back at the beginning of Season 4. It's the first, quote-unquote, objective-based game mode for Warzone. It's called Payload. Now, I'm just going to mention it. It's out there, but I personally haven't tried it yet. I was waiting for you and I to get some time in the zone. Didn't really happen this week. Haven't had a chance to do that. I will say, though, I did tweet it out from our official Twitter account. It's kind of hilarious. On the subreddit for Call of Duty, I saw two posts literally next to each other. One was like, hey, this new payload mode is really fun. And then the one below it was like, this new payload mode fucking sucks.
That sounds about right for the Warzone community. What is it? Like, I haven't played it either. Just full transparency. I was on my little vacation out of town the last 4 days. So I have not played in a couple of days, and I think this was released while I was out of town. What is, I don't know anything about this. Like, what is the objective?
I don't know either. I don't want this to be something where I'm regurgitating. Maybe this is a teaser. I think we're going to commit to this coming week to hopping in there. Although I did see on our Discord some listeners had played it. The results, it seems like, are overall pretty negative. Although a great quote here from Hurricane Andy is his name on our Discord. He said, I played it once, quite enjoyed it. We'll probably never play it again.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Well, yeah, we'll have to try it. Got to try it. Can't just talk shit before you don't try it.
That's right. So it's a limited time mode. Verdict's out here on the Amateur Hour. If you've got thoughts, get them to us on the Discord. We're loving the insight, the intel. We got our own little fucking Amateur Hour army out there, doing that. So, but speaking of stuff that's like broken or busted in the game, one thing I've noticed since I don't know when, and I've been mentioning it in games while we're playing, is like it seems like they definitely screwed with the Sniper Glint. It is no longer as glinty, as bright as it used to be. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I feel like we used to call out glints often. It was like, hey, oh, sniper over here, and you'd catch that because of the glint, not because of a bullet was flying past you, but because you'd see the glint and you'd share it with your teammates. I don't see glints very often anymore, so maybe you're onto something there. I know that there's consistently, bugs with the glints on like all different optics, right? Like the glint is one of the main bugs that seems to be, carrying over from, like update to update to update, right?
Yeah, and last I had heard a few patches ago, they said they fixed one of there was a scope that had more than 4x on Black Ops that wasn't glinting. They said that was fixed. So it seems like, again, I think JGod would have tweeted if like, hey, this scope has no glint, it's busted. So it seems like the glint is there, and I've been noticing it here and there because I've been sniping a lot, but it just seems way harder to see. It feels like you really have to kind of be looking dead on the guy, and they have to be looking dead on you to see it, but even then, it's not as bright. Like, how do you feel about where it's at now?
I don't know. I feel like whenever I see the glint, it's too late. I'm dead. I feel like anytime I see a sniper glint, I'm like, oh, I'm dead. It's just like, maybe that's why we don't see him very often, because we're getting killed before we actually get a chance to see the glint.
I mean, maybe, but I personally think the current state of glint is bullshit. They need to get it back in line how it was, especially because with the current state of the meta, like sniping is back on the menu. As I've said, I've been sniping a shitload. It seems like more and more people are. Even on Rebirth, you're getting lots of snipers. So like more than ever, we need that fucking glint. I thought that was really ingenious the way they introduced that from the beginning as a way to like, make sniping a little bit more level. Otherwise, if they didn't have glint, people would just be hiding out from 400 meters away, beaming people. Nobody fucking knows where the shots are coming from. Like, they got to level the playing field here. Get the fucking glint. Get the batteries powered back up on that thing. That's what Tron's saying.
Get the glint going. God damn it.
Yeah. Get the fucking glint going.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you this: is my background isn't very, diverse when it comes to video game play. Is the glint something specific for Warzone or Modern Warfare or Call of Duty? Does that translate to other, video games? I don't know. If they invented that for Warzone, that seems like an incredibly great thought for, leveling out snipers, letting people know where they are. Because again, it would, propagate people just camping all the time if you didn't know where they were and you were just getting headshots. So do you know the answer to that? Did this originate with Warzone, or is this from somewhere else?
That is an excellent question, and as much as I try to be a historian of video games, of Call of Duty Battle Royales, all that, I don't have an answer to that. So if anybody does, like, what the first game to introduce this mechanic of sniper glints, please let us know. We'd like to give them credit. I will say, like, in terms of, my limited BR experience, they weren't an H1Z1. I'm pretty sure PUBG doesn't have it. So in my personal experience, Warzone was the first one to do it. I loved that. It was really shitty during that period of time where the variable zoom scope was busted on that. Now, again, we're in that shitty kind of halfway area. Get it fucking back, man.
Yeah. Get it back. Get it in the game.
Get it in the game, man. I mean, I know that's EA's tagline, and I guess that's Battlefield's turf, but come on, Activision. Fuck, man. The competition's on the horizon. Speaking of which, Battlefield unveiled a lot of information. Basically, there's no Battle Royale modes available, but they have this whole thing where you can kind of custom build your own lobbies and shit. So we might be seeing like a hybrid type of BR experience there. So they're not out of the woods. The competition's on the horizon. The gun, though, I think the state of the meta, especially after fixing that broken scope, I think is in a really good spot. What's your loadout situation been?
I'm still going with the Krig. Got turned on to the Krig. Still loving the Krig, as well as now the MAC-10. I go MAC-10 Krig. That's my loadout. I want to start mixing the car back in a little bit, because you're right. Sniping is so much fun. When you're in the zone sniping, you're feeling it. there's not a lot of better times than that. So I'll probably start working in a maybe like a Milano car and then like a Mac 10 Krig. I think is going to be, those are my two loadouts moving forward here. That's what I'm thinking for the next week. What about you?
Well, that sounds like a fantastic pairing of weapons there. I've heard, yeah, the Milano I've heard is like the sniper support weapon for those wanting it right now, because it still has the good range and obviously great mobility, good up close. Right now, I'm running similar two loadouts. In the early game, when I get my first loadout, I go with the Krig Kar 98 combo. I'm willing to stay vulnerable short range, but then, you know, as things start to get spicy later game, if I'm able to either get a second loadout or if I'm late dropping in, getting a loadout, preparing for end game, I do what you listed, which is the Krig Mac 10. I think those two pair fantastically together. You really kind of cover all your bases, and you can, even if you're getting sniped, you can kind of counteract that with the Krig, and then if you get pushed, the Mac 10, it seems like, is one of the top dogs, if not the top dog for SMG right now.
Yeah, I love the Krig. The recoil is so low once you get that thing leveled up. And yeah, even if you have some glint facing your direction and you got a sniper looking at you, you can scare them off. You get a couple shots on them and it makes it really difficult for them to snipe you. So I agree. The Krig, viable protection in the long range game.
Yeah, it seems like when it comes to ARs, it's the Krig or that C58 if you can handle the recoil. That's really kind of top of the mountain there. Snipers is the Kar 98, or I guess marksman rifles, as I'm sure you were about to correct me, is the Kar 98 or that Swiss. And then for short range, it's the MP5s, the Mac 10s, and then I guess that OTS 9. But again, I haven't had my hands on that. Not even going to try and unlock it. But that's kind of where the meta's at. So in a good place, like we said, there's just kind of some rough edges. I think they need to be standing off and then maybe getting us some new depth. I mean, we got to be getting close to like getting more information about the new Call of Duty, which beckons the call that we were giving off on literally a weekly basis before. Is like, all right, we're going to be needing a new map soon, right?
Yeah. Wait, was that a question?
I didn't know. I'm just saying, like, we're at the point, I think, where the gamers are getting hungry. Things are starting to get a little stale. The meta's good, but it's like we're getting to the point where I think on a weekly basis, it's going to be like, all right, we need a new fucking map. Let's spice things up, right?
Yeah, interesting you bring that up. I haven't thought about a new map in a while. I mean, my heart was so broken when they didn't give us a new map and they slapped an 80s skin on Verdansk. I think we need a new map. Fully. We need to rebalance the power and we need to learn something new together and give the amateurs a bit more of an edge. And I think a new map would do that. I'm all about a new map.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Because, I mean, what else can you really ask for? We were like, oh, the weapons are broken. They need to get that in line. They've done that to a large degree. They've introduced some new game modes. They're fine. Some new wrinkles, red doors, sentry guns. That's not going to keep your player base around, forever. They're going to need some big whappy dinger type of changes here. And I think the map's got to be it. So hopefully some news is going to be on the horizon in that regard.
Well, are you dropping some news here? Is someone on the inside that you work with, one of your Activision coworkers, giving you some kind of detail that is there some kind of marketing plan where is this a tease? Are you teasing a new map? Is something that none of us else know?
I wish I had this intel that you think I have, first off. Secondly, if I were to tease and, breach that NDA on the podcast, I'm sure I'd be suffering significant legal ramifications, which I would not do. But yeah, I'm just speculating here, baby. I'm hoping so.
Well, you're saying a lot without saying a damn thing. So that's where your NDA is probably safe and sound, but you're really hinting at something here. I just can't put my finger on it.
Oh, there's a subtext he's reading into. We'll see what happens. I may have to switch to the pseudonym. I don't know. But, speaking of news on the horizon, speaking of getting the amateurs together, we teased it last week. This week we did some R&D, but now we're ready to announce it, baby, that we will be making the first ever streaming debut for the Warzone Amateur Hour this coming Friday evening, which is going to be July 30th. Mark your calendars. We're targeting, somewhere in the evening Pacific time, like maybe 4 p.m., 5 p.m., maybe a little later. We'll be keeping you guys updated on the Discord and the Twitter. So if you're not part of those already, get your finger on the pulse, baby. Get it known. We kind of debated like what are we gonna do? Which platform are we gonna go with? We ultimately have decided we're going to be streaming through YouTube, mostly because fuck Twitch.
Yeah, I guess the thought process behind that, I mean, I'm sure people are going to reach out and say we're crazy, we should be on Twitch. But we do stuff on YouTube. It's where we release our videos. It's where it's simpler for us to do it that way. We already have like an established subscriber base, like people will tune in. It just seems kind of like it's easier there. And yeah, fuck Twitch because they fucking barred Z Laner after he dressed up as Dr. Disrespect at a big tournament last month. And fuck Twitch. That's bullshit. I love Z. He's the nicest guy in the world. He should be able to stream wherever he fucking wants.
That's right. So yeah, it's twofold. From an ecosystem, from a media empire perspective, we're already on the YouTube. We're trying to build out the content. We had the Amateur Hour breakdowns going live. Well, this is going to expand that. We're going to have more content. Those streams will be up for you to rewatch if you're unable to catch them live. We can create some sub clips, get that shit going on, have all of our failures, crystal clear for you to relive over and over and over and laugh at us. And additionally, we're already synced up. We don't gotta, buy cameras. We can do it directly through the PS5. But yeah, the other thing was from a philosophical, from like an integrity standpoint, we don't like fundamentally the way Twitch is run. The way they make these shadow bans and all these decisions without having any sort of like, Transparency. Thank you. Like, as you touched on, the whole Dr. Disrespect saga, I don't know how you feel about that, whatever. Nobody has any fucking answers about why that guy got booted off there. But then, that's fine. I'm willing to, whatever, that happened. But then, yeah, Z Laner, a few weeks back, is partaking in a tournament on Twitch. So he's unable to play with Dr. Disrespect. So in an incredible homage to the man himself, he dons the mustache, the glasses, the wig I don't even think he played in the tournament with it. He just did it early on in his stream. It was a really cool moment. You and I were texting each other about it, loving it. And then he comes to find out that he's banned from the next tournament. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, it's so shallow and ridiculous. So yeah, whatever. I mean, it's like, we have options here. So we're going to go with, we can do whatever the fuck we want. I mean, it's your boys.
That's right. So, maybe we're in a smaller pond, but baby, we're going to be a bigger fish soon enough. So just y'all wait. We hope you're going to be dropping in with us. That's right. Friday, July 30th, our first stream going live. I think the way we're going to do it is like for an hour or two, Tron will stream from his perspective. Then we'll swap stream from Cowboy's perspective. We'll have to work out those kinks. So bear with us. But, we're going to be able to see the chat. So we'd love you if you're in there interacting, send us some messages. We'll hopefully be interacting with the chat. Have some good content for you.
Yeah, interesting. The streamers that I've watched in the past are really good. They like have long games. It's going to be interesting when we're playing and we're, spending 80% of the time in waiting lobbies because we die so quickly. But, that's part of the game, baby.
Yeah, so look forward to it. Hopefully they don't fuck up Rebirth in that time, because I imagine it's mostly going to be Rebirth, although I bet we'll run some duos regular just to show how sweaty and shitty we are. But yeah, if the skill level ain't high, then we hope the entertainment and energy level will make up for that. Well, that's yet to see. But we appreciate everyone that's really pushed us to do this, that's given us, the belief in ourselves that we can do this.
Yeah. It's insane. If you would have told me a year ago that we would be streaming, that I would be doing any kind of streaming with a video game, it's absolutely mind-blowing. But I'm really excited to do it and happy to do it, and it's going to be fun. And it's funny because we do this podcast where we just sit on, and we just like shoot the shit for, 45 minutes, an hour every week, and we talk about the game. It's such a different experience playing with somebody. So I'm excited to like share that with people. I like to scream and I get rowdy, and I'm it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes across on live.
Yeah, we provided some tidbits through our gameplay clips on our YouTube channel. Again, check it out. And we've talked a lot. Obviously, every week we're talking about our experiences. Well, now you're going to have a front row seat to see what it's like. Hopefully it's good. I'm sure we're going to be dropping in with some listeners too. But that's going to do it for us this week on the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. Thank you all so much for dropping in with us. As we said, big stuff on the horizon. tune in this Friday, July 30th, time TBD, but playing around, 4, 5, 6 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be on our official YouTube channel. If you're not already, follow us on Twitter. Get on the fucking Discord, baby. And keep spreading the love. We've seen a lot of people out there doing that. We appreciate it. That's how you support the podcast. Help us grow. Help us, kind of create more content.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. We're very grateful for that and appreciate it.
That's it for us this week, so we will talk to you next week. And until then,
good luck in the gulag or in Rebirth if you haven't been in the gulag in months like me.
yes, go hide while that timer ticks down and you respawn.